Hello and welcome, I'm Raziel, and so today I'm going to go completely different. I'm going to do something different, and that is, well, try and make Games Workshop look a little better than other people. Alright? Now, I'm going through start boxes today because I think this is how people get into games. You look at a game, you buy the starter set, you have your armies, and I've got to say this, and it's something I wholeheartedly agree with, and I think they do so very well, is that Games Workshop can do very good starter sets. Yes, the Ashland Waste for Necromunda was atrocious. The starter set for the now starter sets for 40k are pretty good as well, because they're literally the price of a combat patrol box, and it's actually, they work out cheaper than a combat patrol box if you do Space Marines or Tyranids. They do work out cheaper, even if you have to buy the additional models. So yeah, Games Workshop can do starter sets well, and they do tend to do them at a decent price. The Horus Heresy Age of Darkness, which has, I've said plenty of times, has been my favourite box set that Games Workshop has produced for a long time. At £195, I think if this hits £200, that's when you stop buying this box. £195 is then, to me, on the cusp of box sets. That's like that. The £200 is far too much even for this box set, which is a good box set, by the way. I'm not going to say it's a bad box set. It's really good, and it's actually still a decent bargain for Games Workshop. But what I'm trying to show you today is that, yeah, Games Workshop can do this, and they've done a pretty good price at it. And again, I'm not going to disagree with it or say it's bad, because it's not. You get a lot for your money. That is a full army for Horus Heresy. £400, so basically 2 of these boxes will give you your 3,000 points that you need to play Horus Heresy. Okay, it'll be a boring, army, because you're going to have so much of the same thing, but it is exactly what you're going to need to play the game. And at £195, like I said, is steep. £156 is an absolute bargain. I will not disagree with this. Yeah, this isn't too bad. I can actually, I can give Games Workshop credit, and actually pricing credit, for this box, because, see, here's the thing. I try to be impartial. I do give Games Workshop a hard time quite a bit. And the reason I do that is because they're the biggest, and it's really hard to talk about other companies, because honestly, I'm not so sure about the game, or or the names. So I have to be impartial, and I wanted to do this video for a long time, because though I'm trying to stay away from Games Workshop, I still think they do need to be talked about more, because they're obviously doing a lot of bad things right now, and they're having a lot of problems. But it's not all bad, okay? There are still some things there which are pretty good. And this box set is one of them. So what I wanted to do is go through other box sets and point out what makes them good, what makes them bad, and what makes a bad box set bad, and what makes a good box set good. This is a good box set for some reasons, for many reasons. First is you get a proper full hardback rulebook. That is a hefty book. That's like a £40 book. In this straight away, you get your tank and a dreadnought, so you have 2 really big written models in there already. So even if you're splitting this, both armies will have that centerpiece, and you get lots and lots of soldiers, which is good. You have, I think it's like 50 in there. It is a big box, and it's 50 models for £200 is pretty good. And of course, you have everything else you need with it. So you get everything you need in this box, and I cannot disagree and say this is a bad box, so I won't. Whereas, I was looking at other games, so I looked at Star Wars Legion. I'm a big fan of Star Wars, and I was thinking, okay, let's have a look at this. And I saw the price, and this one stumped me. £102 with the discount, or £120. Like, okay, that's quite low for a starter set. It's about what you would pay. But then, of course, you'd go through what you get in the box. You get your cards. Actually, why don't I just do that bit instead? You get your cards, 2 named characters, and that's the model set you get. You don't really get much in this box for 120 quid. That, to me, is a bad box. You get very little. You get not much at all. I mean, just a squad for each, plus a vehicle and a named character. That's a poor box. If you look at the Horus Heresy one, you get a vehicle in each. In case you get vehicles in each, but they're bikes and walkers and they're quite small. You get 4 tactical marine units. You get 2 Terminator units, and you get your 2 HQ choices. That's more than double you get in here. That's far more than double. And paying less than more than half for far less shows you that Star Wars Legion is more money grabbing than Games Workshop. It's horrid how money grabbing this is, and it's not just this starter set as well. Even like their vehicles makes Games Workshop look cheap. It's like 60 quid for an ATST, which doesn't look very good compared to the Armiger Knights, which are about the same height, but you get 2 Armiger Knights instead of one, and it's a better box. And if you can make Games Workshop look better in a pricing situation, your prices are far too high from the off. And if we look at another good box, which of course I'm going to bring up, this is Wildest Exodus, of course. And again, you see here, let's see, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 vehicles, 4 bikes, with monocabs and a monostrider. You have 6 named characters and 9 Tesla bots. Even at that point, you're getting more models than you would for Star Wars Legion. It's £94. They do not drop the price here because they make the game. This is actually one of their games. And you get all the dice, the books, and everything you need to play this game. And it's a fun game to play, by the way. You don't need to buy anything after this. This is a great game to play. And I've got to say, at £95, this is well worth you dropping your money on. Okay, I'm very biased at this point. But you can just see at the model difference between the two. They look better than the Star Wars Legion ones, which look very bland. Yes, they are just stormtroopers and troops. But you have Tesla bots here, which look better and have more variation to them. Same with the monocabs and monostriders, which are, by the way, I just better point these out. That's a monocab. That's a monostrider. No, that's a monostrider. That's a monocab, I should say. You can see there's even differences in them, and they look cool. They look really cool compared to what. And the fact is, if you want to choose like the Union, and you just don't really want to do the Enlightened, you can make 4 of these instead. You don't need to just make these. So you actually have choices into improving one army over the other. Again, great choices, great box. And this again shows you exactly what a good box is. You've got a fair whack of choices. You have 2 decent sized armies. I think it's about 100 points each, which is actually a fairly big game for a Wildest Exodus. Most games are around about 50 points because you just need the single posse box. But 100 points each is not too bad. I also like the Elder Scrolls, because of course I do. And again, we see so few miniatures in this box. Just, why do I keep going down there? So few miniatures. £110 for this box. And you get just over a squad of worth. Yes, you get all the rulebooks and everything else. And see, like I said, with the Games Workshop one, with the Horus Heresy, the rulebook was a decent hardback book. These are stapled together. Again, this shows you exactly what a bad book game is. This is a bad game. If your rulebook is stapled together, by the way, not properly bound, like the one in Wildest Exodus is, then yeah, again, you're going to have many. It isn't worth your money. And this, again, makes Games Workshop look like they're actually pricing pretty well. And again, the models themselves are pretty steep. I cannot emphasize this anymore, but they are, again, making Games Workshop look reasonably priced. And next we got Conquest. Conquest has the addition of being bigger models. £90 for the starter set. And again, this to me is a fantastic looking starter set. Look, you have properly bound books for your rulebooks. Brilliant start, absolutely great. You have a lot of models. You do. You don't. I think you actually have more than a Games Workshop one. So yeah, and these are sizably bigger, I believe. Conquest is actually a bigger model. And yeah, again, I cannot complain about this starter set. You have 2 armies. You have the properly bound books. You have good looking figures, and it's not a bad price. £81 here or £90 standard. It's not something you can really say is bad, because this is a sort of decent one you would want to get your money worth, you know? And you do get your money's worth with it. And they do look good, I can't disagree with that. I do like Conquest. Oh, they look cool. I do like the look of Conquest. I haven't played it yet, but I do like the look of it, and I think it's fantastic. And, well done. Final one is the Bolt Action, because Bolt Action, and I did want to try and find another one, which was bad. But, like I said, you can tend to see there's a price tag for these smaller boxes. Around about £100 is what you're expecting. £93 for Bolt Action. Bolt Action I hear a lot of good things about. And yeah, so you get 2 decent sized armies, you get vehicles again. And this is not something to really complain about. This is a decent starter set because you have a lot of models, you have a lot of variation in the models again, which to me is always a great thing. And you're pretty much paying a decent amount of money for it. So the fact is, when people look at this price box of here, go back to Horus Heresy, and they see the £195, they're going, God, that's steep. Okay? But then, if they're comparing that to, you know, pretty much nothing, and they're saying, and they only play Warhammer. But when you start comparing it to things like this, from Star Wars Legion, this is a core starter set for £120, and the Elder Scroll one, which is £110, and they don't provide half as much as what the Horus Heresy box is giving you. Or, you know, they are cheaping out, being cheap about the way the books are bound, or I don't think even the Star Wars Legion actually has books, which would be even worse, because if they do, they aren't showing them. They're not, there's no books here. It's all rule cards. So if there's not even a rule book in here, that makes it even worse. And this is your start army. Let's see, one copy of Star Wars Legion core set, supplied in English, miniatures are supplying them. Okay, so no rule book by the looks of it. And you just think, okay, that's bad. That's really bad. And then, again, Star Wars Legion is making Games Workshop look cheap. And I always thought that was impossible. And I try to be impartial with these things. I try to make sure that I'm level-headed on all things. But I can't be when, you know, I don't really want to always be bad about Games Workshop. But I have to bring up stuff like this because it makes me realise that, yeah, Games Workshop is overpriced, don't get me wrong, but there does seem to be ones that are far, far worse than Games Workshop, and they don't get nearly enough stick for their pricing. They don't get nearly enough grief for, you know, how greedy they are. They just get by because everyone shouts at Games Workshop rather than shouting at, like, Fantasy Flight here, or whoever makes the Elder Scrolls games. Again, they don't get shouted at half as much. But as you can see, their pricing is far worse than Games Workshop. And like I said plenty of times during this video, if you can make Games Workshop look reasonably priced, you are far too high. Wargaming isn't a cheap hobby. But getting into a game should be. It should be the cheapest part of it. You should be getting massive savings. Massive things. Don't forget, all these card stuff are free online as well. The rulebook for Wild West Exodus is free online. But having this, look at this and go, yeah, actually, you make Games Workshop look cheap, so basically you're paying £120 or £102, depending which way you get, for 20 miniatures. Yeah. I cannot excuse this. And no one gives, you know, Star Wars Legion stick. Everyone goes, oh, you should go to Star Wars Legion. It's like, have you seen the prices of Star Wars Legion? And it's not just this as well. I was looking at the models as well. Like, things like the ATST is 60 quid. The Land Speeder, which, you know, Luke Skywalker rides throughout the New Hope, you know, goes to Mos Eisley, that itself is £60. That's a £60 model. And that's not with a discount. And when you look at a £60 model for Games Workshop, it's better. If you look at there is no £60 models for Wild West Exodus. The most expensive model is £42, and it's a Great Eagle. But the Great Eagle is a massive model. It stands taller with its wings down, by the way. Just need to exemplify that because you can have its wings up, than an Armiger. But I cannot excuse this stuff, and I do think it needs to be pointed out even more. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I know this was a kind of a different video, and I hope you know, you get a bit of a broader perspective on this and not just shout at Games Workshop all the time. Other companies are worse. And unfortunately, they don't get the stick that anyone else does. And I think that's a shame. I think, to be fair, you do have to look at everything. And this is a kind of a journey for me because, of course, I'm looking at different war games. I play Kings of War, play Wild West Exodus, I play One Page Rules. You know, I play many different games. And, of course, I want to go into more different games as well. So I thought I have to do this. I have to look at this as well. Anyway, if you actually want to go to Wayland Games, the link is down below, and you can buy all the stuff you've seen here today on there. The link is down below, and you can see what you've seen is about 20% off the discounted the price for most many things, except War Cradle because you know they make it. Yeah, hit the link down below. There is also for them Planet of Comics, DVDs, manga, Star Wars stuff, all that really cool stuff, and merchandise. There's my merchandise as well, which is stickers, t-shirts, cups, and you know what everyone else does. There's my comics down below. Raziel, the Little Red versus and Raziel going ham on some cyborg werewolves. Horror anthology. There's Skyforge because you know Skyforge is a good mate of mine, and I do wish him all the love. And Patreon because business. Bye bye.